Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I have a News Target article that's dated March 2nd, 2022. It says inflation, food shortages, and the ongoing energy crisis are all coinciding with escalating war. Many people seem to falsely believe that the Russia-Ukraine conflict will remain isolated to Europe and not affect us in any substantial way here in the United States. This is a grave error, however. America and many other countries, for that matter, are already facing one of the worst energy crises since the 1970s, and it turns out that Russia is one of the world's most important energy producers. Energy prices are now soaring all around the world, which is affecting logistics and food production. It is becoming prohibitively expensive for many people to heat and cool their homes as well. Normally, Russia and Ukraine export vast quantities of food to the rest of the world, but the war is going to change that, reports the Washington Standard's Michael Snyder. We really are facing a horrifying breakdown of our food and energy systems, and that is going to affect every man, woman, and child on the entire planet. The military industrial complex is blaming Russia's invasion for soaring food prices here in the U.S. Even though inflation has been through the roof for at least the past year, clearly there's some other cause for which the war situation is being used as cover. The pestilence, we're told, is what started the whole thing, but which came first, the pestilence or the unraveling of the current corrupt system, which was probably going to happen anyway. And yeah, as it's saying, this is all planned out. It's contrived. The elite are actually, they're doing this. They're trying to bring down this system so that they can establish a new system as the phoenix rises out of the ashes. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to raise their new world order. And not only is the Russia-Ukraine war a something that they can use as a cover-up for the food shortages, but also the trucker convoys that are both in Canada and the U.S. They're going to use that as the boogeyman for why there are food shortages and supply shortages. But moving on, it says the global food supply is crumbling. According to Snyder, Russia and Ukraine together produce about 25% of the world's wheat crop. The escalating war situation will almost certainly disrupt the export of this staple food. Billions of people around the world rely on this wheat, which is used to make bread, pasta, and various packaged foods. They also rely on barley, sunflower seed oil, and corn, which are also grown and made in Russia and Ukraine. So if exports from those two warring nations are reduced or completely cut off, how are we possibly going to replace the output? Snyder asked. Does anyone have an answer for that? There's no answer other than perhaps this is the four horses of the apocalypse riding one by one. In other words, there may be no stopping the prophetic scenario from continuing and ultimately being fulfilled. And he's correct on that. This is though this situation might not be the end all, because there's more prophecies to take place, including famine. There's more to happen. We've got to have Jacob's trouble. We've got to have the MOTB, the Charagma, and a few other prophecies have to take place before we see the fall of Babylon. It says together, Russia and Ukraine supply 29% of all wheat exports and 75% of global exports of sunflower oil, said Kelly Gogari, a senior research analyst at Grow Intelligence, an agriculture data platform. Much of the world's fertilizer also comes from Russia, which is cutting off exports for the current growing season. This is a really bad situation for the rest of the world outside of Russia. Previously, I have written about how global agriculture production is going to be down all over the globe in 2022 because fertilizer prices have started to spiral out of control, Snyder says. In fact, in Africa alone, it is being projected that enough food to feed 100 million people will not be grown this year because of the outrageous cost of fertilizer. Give me 1 second. Slovakia. I am back. It says, even the Washington Post admits that the world is headed for a supply crunch that will be hard to resolve. In Snyder's view, this is a massive understatement. Even before the war erupted, some types of fertilizer had doubled in price, some had tripled in price, and some had actually quadrupled in price, he writes. 6 months down the road, we are likely to see food riots all over the globe. The energy crisis will only exacerbate the problem, making it difficult to produce fertilizer, food, and other components of the global food system, not to mention consumer goods and everything else that people rely on in order to live. And so, you can see from this article, there are coming shortages. We're already experiencing shortages, but this war is going to exacerbate it all, and there's going to be a famine, and this is going to help it come quicker. So let's get out of that and get straight into the scriptures. Let's start out with Mark 13. This is Mark 13, 7 and 8. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and we're actually seeing a war and then hearing of other rumors of wars, like the potential of China invading Taiwan and, Babylon striking, laying down missiles on whoever they want, as well as civil wars, or at least hearing about rumors of civil wars. That's where we are right now. It says, and when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet, because there's more prophecies to be fulfilled. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows, and we are currently in the beginnings of sorrows. This is 2 Esdras 16 and 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. That article was telling you about how this famine can begin and quite possibly will begin with these wars. The beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, and evil means bad times. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And you hide in the secret place of the Most High. You hide within this truth. Verse 19. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. And currently we are experiencing inflation, but it's not to a point to where you can't survive, but it will it will eventually get there. Things are still cheap right now. That they shall think themselves to be in good case. And that's what these people who are not paying attention to the prophecies or paying any attention to what's going on in the world are thinking. They're still in good case. You're starting to see some crack, though, and some start to be scared. But we're still in this spot, this which won't last for very much longer. We're still in the spot that where people think they're in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. And famine is an awful way to go out. Your stomach just eating itself, eating your body. And it takes a long time, and I'm sure time gets slowed down as you starve to death. And the other that escape the hunger shall this sword destroy. This is 2nd Esdras 15, and we'll start at 5, because this is why this is all happening. It says, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and this earth is extremely wicked. It's where do you even begin to start? Just look at America and the amount of confusion that's going on here. And the hurtful works are fulfilled. Skipping all the way down to 16, for there shall be sedition among men. Nah, is that where I want it to be? Oh, 19, Salakia. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And people are going to be breaking into houses not to steal TVs and PlayStations, but to take bread, take food, so that they can feed their families. Because that's how bad this famine is going to be, and how bad off the world is going to be. And because we were talking about the Russia-Ukraine situation, I want to go to Jeremiah 50 and 16. And this is Jeremiah 50 goes into the destruction of Babylon and the salvation of Israel. And this Jeremiah 50 and 16 says, Cut off the sower from Babylon. That's somebody who plants seed. And him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. And he that handles the sickle, that's the reaper. That's who's gathering and collecting the food at the time of harvest. At the time once that seed is grown up and is ready to be eaten. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. And because this is a land of mingled people, and all these other nations, once they see that this war is coming here and that there's no more good times in Babylon, there's no more prosperous times here, they're going to go back to their own nation because they've gotten out of Babylon what they needed. And to finish it off, we'll go to Isaiah 65 and 13, because there is hope for the elect if your name is written in the book of life. Isaiah 65 and 13 it says, Therefore Thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. The Lord's men and their families are still going to eat, even though there's going to be a lack of food out here. There's going to barely be any food. And he also talks about the waters being cut off. But the Lord's men are still going to eat. Their bellies are still going to be full. And we don't know how he's going to make that happen, but it's going to be miraculous. But ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Ye is in the people, the Israelites who refused to come back to the Lord, the 2/3. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. And yeah, this, for the hopeful elect, this is all these prophecies coming to pass. And once we're actually really seeing them hit here in Babylon, we're going to be excited because we know that Yahushua is returning very soon. And so, with that, repent, fast, pray, be what the Lord needs you to be, so that you can make your way out of here. And with that, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.